Velkommen til Vi Skændes Fantasy Football.
Mine damer og herrer, velkommen til jeres yndlingspodcast om amerikansk fodbold på dansk. I dag har vi et lille bonusafsnit klar til jer, hvor vi taler med en tidligere amerikansk fodboldspiller fra USA, om hvordan han oplevede combine-processen fra Division 2 College, og om de udfordringer, man møder, når man ikke bliver inviteret til combine, og man stadigvæk gerne vil forfølge drømmen om at blive professionel i NFL. Men før vi starter interviewet, så er jeg nødt til at komme med en lille disclaimer, og det er, at afsnittet i dag vil foregå på engelsk. Ellers skal det desværre ikke lade sig gøre. Så, jeg er Michael Knudsen, and today I have the honor of being joined by Brandon Mayers. Say hello, Brandon.
Hi, gang. How's it going?
We're going to have a talk about the combine in general and some of the obstacles young players who are not within the powerhouse college teams face to get a shot at turning pro. So, welcome, Brandon. Welcome to the listeners. And let's get this show on the road. Firstly, Brandon, welcome. Thanks for taking the time. And what better way to introduce an American than using Team America?
Oh, yeah. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
I would like to start off this thing with letting the listeners know a little bit about you. So, firstly, where are you from?
I am from Dallas, Texas.
So, like the big city, Texas, or is it like a small city?
Well, I grew up just about an hour east of Dallas. I've lived in Dallas, lived out there, so I just consider Dallas home. It's easier to say Dallas. Most people go, huh? Where's Canton, Texas?
Yeah, our dumbass and Danish people don't know that for sure, but Dallas we know.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, Cowboys.
Your favorite team, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
What is your team then? Because we had this discussion a lot of times.
I'm more of a college football guy than I am NFL.
Yeah, but what's your college team then?
Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em horns.
So, growing up in Texas, what brought you all the way to Denmark?
Actually, a college buddy of mine, he had played over here in Europe for a few years. I think he was in Sweden for a year or two, and then he came over to Esbjerg and played and coached. And I think they contacted him seeing if he knew anybody. And at the time, I was coaching high school football. And listened to him, and the rest is history, to say the least.
Yeah, like you're pretty integrated right now, to say the least.
Oh yeah, only not the language part.
No, but you're getting there, right? You're still honing the craft, or is it only come new and what's the other one?
Of course, all the cuss words, all the good ones.
Yeah.
I get better. Understand more. I mean, of course, with the girls, when they only speak Danish, you kind of got to quickly decipher what they're saying.
To be fair, you've been understanding Danish a lot more than you've been letting on, like to trick people. Like,
absolutely.
Sitting there being silent, just tricking people into being stupid.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you hear all the good stuff, people talking smack on you or whatever, and then you just kind of, whatever. Keep receipts.
Oh, yeah. It's a very, very American thing to do.
I love how this is turning.
Well, let's get back on track then. I want to take a little trip back through your football career, like to get people know like where you're coming from, what your knowledge about this process is. So at what age did you start playing? Because I know in Texas and Dallas in general, like football is almost like religion.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Football is right up there. It's God then football, but just a small bit between them. I actually started in junior high, so that's 12 or 13 years old. Originally grew up in El Paso, Texas, which is the furthest west part of Texas, and that was soccer country.
Really?
Yeah. So when we moved to just outside of Dallas, soccer wasn't really a thing. and so I needed to find something to do, and at that age, you can start playing for the schools, and 7th grade was my first year. That was a pretty eye-opening experience, to say the least.
But that's also pretty late, right? Like, for most people starting playing football.
Yeah, well, I think so. I mean, especially in the smaller towns and, again, Texas, California, those places, Louisiana, Florida, they start playing, peewee football, 5 years old, as soon as they can start walking, they're got footballs in their hands and just playing, and yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't the case, and but, it was a fun experience. It was one of those things where, you looked at the guy across from you and went like, "Oh, crap. This dude is big, and I'm not this big guy," and it's just like, well, you gotta give it a go, and from the first snap, it was like, just gave everything I had and knocked this dude on his ass. I was like, "Oh, this is not that bad."
But we've also talked about this before. Like, when people come and try football for the first time, it's like this goes one of two ways. Either it's like, "Oh, fuck, this isn't for me," or "Thank you, sir, may I have another?" Like, it's
Oh,
one of
yeah,
two
oh,
things.
definitely, and I mean, again, like I said, a lot of it is, it's so much mental. Like I said, you see big guys like, "Oh my god, these guys are gonna kill me," and you're sitting here like, "Okay, some of these guys are the biggest, kind of pansies you've ever seen. Size doesn't really matter." So, I mean, yeah, I mean, that was it for me. Luckily, like, in 7th grade, I got to play almost literally every position, it seemed like. Started off as a running back, then moved to a tight end, and then, like, 2 games left in the season at practice in the morning, coach goes, "Hey, throw this football." So I just, like, grabbed it and threw it. He goes, "You're a quarterback." It's like, "Okay, great."
Thanks,
No
coach.
exper no experience there. And so, yeah, I mean, in a small town, you don't have 70 guys on a team, so everybody's going both ways. So that was nice that I got to play. Like, I think I started off as a Mike linebacker, and that was awesome. Again, like, you have pads on, and yes, you can use those as a weapon, but, like, yeah, just meeting somebody in a hole was like, that was a pretty awesome. That was like fun. Like, so yeah, and then from there, I just continued playing quarterback. Then they were scared of me playing linebacker, so I got moved back to strong safety. So strong safety and quarterback were the positions I grew up playing all throughout high school, and
So that's in high school also. So junior high and high school, you
yeah,
were playing both ways, QB and strong safety.
yeah. And then yeah, I got a scholarship to go to a small school in Kansas called Ottawa University, not in Canada,
That's like
actually in
Ottawa
Kansas.
University?
Yeah, yeah, man. Don't ask me. That's probably about it. That's an hour south of Kansas City. It's an NAIA school. At the when I was there, you had like one or two people that were full ride scholarships. Of course, that's changed drastically. They are basically now, I would say, more equivalent to like a D2 school where they have 27 full ride scholarships.
Oh, okay.
So they've drastically changed that. Um, and
So
that's
you used a term like NAI?
NAIA. So, like, right, we have NCAA, which everybody knows for college football, and then there are different divisions out of the NCAA. You have NCAA Division Two, NCAA 3, you have NAIA, and depending on where you're at, it seems like most of these NAIA schools are, like, basically smack dab middle America, like Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Montana. I mean, of course, there's a few more starting to trickle out. Arizona, California. I think there's maybe one or two in Texas. It's kind of getting a bigger thing.
So it's a separate entity from the NCAA.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's
Don't
like
give me dude, I can't remember what
no. We don't
NAIA
have to go
stands
into
for.
details. That doesn't work. That doesn't matter. It's more like so in comparison to in the NCAA terms, which is what most people know, it would be equivalent to like Division Two.
Yeah.
And in the NCAA, you have Division 1 and 2 and 3, right?
Yeah. And
And
then you have
3
like I
is
mean, like
like
even inside the NCAA, like there's a Division 2 like smaller schools as opposed to like, the Texas, the Alabamas, the Oklahomas. Um, there's another little bracket there in their own realm. Yeah. It's a spider web of things.
I was about to say, like, for a Danish person who watches a lot of college football, like, it's I still can't grasp all the divisions and stuff like that, but that could be a whole episode another day, like, talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
college
yeah,
football.
absolutely, man. That's probably something you're gonna wanna show video on because again, like I said, it's just a spider web of everything.
Oh, yeah. So, like, I don't want this to sound harsh or, like, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it ever a possibility or a dream for you to make it pro, or did you just know at some point, "Okay, this is it for my playing career"?
I mean, and this is for me also, please don't take this as boasting, it's not who I am. Growing up in small town, you know, I was pretty sought out, in our school and multiple sports playing that. So, yeah, my whole life was like, dude, football, football, football. I mean, if we lost, they're just like, "Don't talk to me," like, I'm pissed at the world. Like, it was kind of everything. Like, I really had aspirations and thinking I could, um, go and do something, and I think, I had an eye-opening experience my sophomore year in college. We had, taken in a transfer, um, and this guy was yeah, he was unlike anything I'd ever seen before, and, of course, he went on and had a great career in the NFL, and just watching this guy just it was just one of those things where you looked in the mirror and just go, "Shit, I don't have that." And so from then on, I just kinda was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna play as hard as I can, I'm gonna study as hard as I can, and I'm done in 4 years." And that was my eye-opening experience saying going, "Oh, dude, I don't think I'm there for that." And yeah, hey, maybe I could have put in more time and effort, but just kind of felt that it was the right thing to just go, "Hey, dude, play with what you got, study, graduate on time, get out of here."
So, like, was it almost like being a big fish in a little pond, and then going to a bigger place and like feeling okay, maybe I'm not that big of a fish, kind of thing, or
Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely. Like, just like my dad always said, there's always someone bigger, faster, and stronger than you. What are you gonna do to be better? You know? And yeah, you definitely get there when now when camp starts, there's 150 dudes there, nobody, and you're just like, "Oh, okay." And yeah, I mean, like the first 2 weeks are absolutely insane. I mean, 2 weeks of hell week, 3 practices a day. I mean, nonstop.
sounds like a rough experience, but it's also quite a young age to throw people out in that.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, again, like, right? You get away from mommy and daddy for the first time. You're on your own. You set your own schedule. Of course, the football sets your schedule a little bit for you there, and you don't have anybody. You've got to like spread your wings and see who you are. And I mean, I think for myself, growing up in a small town, I had offers to stay closer to home, and for some reason, it just felt right to get away from home as far as I could, and so that's why I went to Kansas. And yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about myself. I mean, that also helped me in the transition of moving to Denmark when I came here in 2011. I mean, that put me in another position of not knowing anybody, of course, not knowing the language, not knowing the culture. and just really having to push myself into something that I'm not comfortable with and make the best of that situation. And I mean, I think for me, I think I've come out on top on that aspect. So couldn't be happier for that.
That's lovely to hear, man. I feel like people might have a small grasp about who you are as a person, but more as a player right now. So I feel like it's a good segue to start talking about the combine.
Vi skændes fantasy football.
So the first thing I want to touch about is like the hype and the meaning of the combine. So how do you view the combine? Is it like, do you feel it's the ultimate stage for the guys to show up and deliver, or is it just another evaluation tool to be used?
Personally, I think it's a lot of theatrics. Um, as time's gone on from when I was younger playing, the combine did mean something. Everybody showed up. If you got an invite, that means you were on people's list to get picked to go to the NFL and needed to go up and show what you could do. And you're going against the top people. Um, it seems like in the last like decade or so, things have started to change, right? You started getting people with eh, these deals and NILs and all this stuff where I'm not going to show up. I'm just going to have a pro day at my school and do it there because I'm in a controlled environment. I can control who's throwing me the balls or doing whatever, as opposed to having somebody different. So I think a lot of people and a lot of bigger guys are opting out of it and saying, I don't really need that to prove myself. So it's had a big shift, I think, from when I was playing to now. I mean, I still think a lot of guys go. Of course, they want to showcase themselves and put themselves up against the best of the best. But I mean, you see a lot of quarterbacks, receivers, and stuff like that. Like, man, no, just come to. We have a pro day on this day at the University of Texas, and everybody shows up.
But that's one of the things I also want to touch on because I feel like you said, pro day, like the whole idea of the combine was also to like make the testing standardized and people make sure they had the same like playing field to be tested on because at pro days there's also like different receivers. You're using handheld stopwatches instead of that, so people were in general performing a lot better. Like, do you feel like the pro day gives the better picture of the player, or do you feel like the combine does that?
That's a tough question. I mean, like I said, I think people play sports to compete, and if you're at a combine with, quote unquote, the top of the top, the top 20 of each, you know, position, right? You're going to need to perform. You've got to step up and compete. So I think that breeds like better competition. You're going to turn out better results, hopefully. And, or some people get a little nervous and they may not have a great day. Pro days, like I said, I think those are a little more, hey, I'm in my atmosphere, I'm in my bubble, and it is what it is. Like, right? Hey, I'll just keep using the University of Texas as an example just because, yeah. But like, hey, I'm the quarterback at University of Texas. I don't need to go to Indianapolis for the combine when we'll host a pro day. I'll pick a few of my favorite receivers. We'll throw some balls. I'll talk to you guys, and there it is. I don't think that there's anything that competition wise there. Like there's just comfort there.
Um, do you feel like the combine gets too much attention or the pro days compared to what people actually put on the game tapes?
I mean, I think it gets a lot of attention because I also know at the combine, right? They're not only doing physical drills, like these guys are going into like some really huge interviews with teams. Um, and so it's not just a physical game, it's absolutely mental as well, where like who's calling me, who do I got to go talk to? I'm going to sit in a room for 2 hours talking to Tampa Bay Buccaneers or something like that. Then I've got to go over here. They're constantly doing something there. So that's, I mean, I think for those guys that are doing it, they kind of can showcase a little bit more who they are because, again, their day is scheduled to like the microsecond. Like, hey, you're waking up, you're eating breakfast. Hey, you're doing this, you're going here, you're going there. Like, it's a whirlwind. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think it. I think it should get more. I think that the combine, it used to be the cool thing where everybody watched it to see, like, okay, who's going to show up today? Again, right? I think everybody knows the combine where it's the 40-yard dash. It's all about the 40-yard dash and how much can you bench press. You know, do those things necessarily make you an amazing football? No, but those are kind of the fun things to watch.
That actually takes me into like one of the next question segues or like areas I have, like the measurables versus football ability. Because like, do you feel like the drills at the combine, for instance, like you mentioned, the 40-yard dash or the vertical jump, does that truly translate to being a successful football player in the NFL?
I mean, you can probably argue both sides of it. I mean, like, right? If you depending on your position, how fast can you be? Like the 40-yard dash, yeah, it's cool, it's great, it's fun to watch, but does it make you like the worst receiver or the best linebacker or something like that? No. Again, right? We'll use this guy because everybody knows who he is. Tom Brady, you know, turned in a what, like a five something on a 40-yard dash, plays 22 years in the league. How many, what, six, seven Super Bowls? Like, he was like a nobody. Like, right? He got picked, what, sixth, seventh round?
He fell a
So
lot for sure.
so I don't like again, yes, that is like one of the he's a diamond in the rough. Not everybody is gonna be that way, but even the guys that turn in the 4.240s or the 4.140s and they bench press, 103 kilos 55 times doesn't necessarily translate over to the field. So yeah, I don't know. I think, like you said, I think a lot of it is theatrics. I mean, like, right, the receivers get to run routes and have balls thrown at them all different directions and stuff like that, and DBs get to do their turns and cuts, and those things are something you can see, but, like, how far you can broad jump means nothing really to me. I mean, of course, that means you've got some power, but it's not a huge deal for me. That's not gonna be the
Yeah.
because I think just like Tom Brady turned in a not the world's greatest combine, there's been guys that have turned in awesome combines that have just been flops in the NFL, you know? I mean, I think it's all individual and, of course, what teams they go to, what coaches they get will definitely create a football player, you know?
So like you also touched on it a bit because I feel like we're both the same age. So like going back for when you were younger and when I was younger, do you feel like teams back then valued like the football IQ less than the physical traits, and that there has been a shift now for people to value the IQ and the like social aspect of a player more than back then?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I mean, like, you always hear the stories and you've always, seen these things, like these interviews, like they try to see what kind of person you are. And they ask, I mean, some pretty outrageous questions. And of course, they want to see what for your football IQ is, but they also want to see, and I think several teams do a like an IQ kind of test just to see what they're getting into. I think it's always been there. I think maybe, pre 2000s, nobody gave a crap about what your social life was, or it's like it was just like, can you play football? Great, cool. Here you go. I mean, I think after the 2000s is when everybody really started to hone in on, hey, what kind of human being is this guy? Like, right, you take in, and don't get me wrong, I can't remember if it was 90s or if it was early 2000s. I believe it was Ryan Leaf.
Oh, yeah. Good old Ron Leaf.
You know what I'm saying? Like, amazing quarterback, and everybody's like, "Oh, this guy's gonna be great," and then everybody got, and it was like, "This dude's a piece of shit," you
I
know?
remember
And
they picked him over Peyton Manning.
yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I think on some of those things definitely transition people into paying attention a lot more into the social side of things. What's their kind of behavior? How do they react to these questions and see those dynamics? Because right, they that you need to be reliable. These guys, they're signing you for multi-million dollars. Like, you got to be reliable, or are they going to have to worry that you're, freaking Johnny Manziel over here? You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
again, it's a crazy, crazy world with that stuff.
But like you touched on, I also feel like the NILs and the agents and stuff like that plays a way bigger part now, not only in if are we showing up or not showing up to the combine, but everybody is in it for the money. I think that's always been the case, but I don't know if people are more honest about it now or what it is, but it feels like people are more greedy and not as much thinking about what I can achieve as a football player. That's at least my perspective on it.
Well, I mean, like, and again, I don't mean to make this sound bad, but a lot of these dudes that are really great athletes and stuff and playing at these top schools, I mean, they don't come from the greatest backgrounds. They don't come from these things. So, and I would have to say that it's a majority of the people. I wouldn't say that just like, oh yeah, hey, 1 out of 20 guys, but there's a lot of guys that are coming from backgrounds where, hey, they didn't have anything. And and I can understand the greed. They're wanting to take care of their family. They want to take care of their mom. They want to take care of their dad, and you know, and make the most of what they got while they can. Because I think we all know, your football career. Most people aren't playing 22 freaking years in the league. You're probably at average best 4 years.
Yeah, I think we had a stat on the podcast where like the average lifespan of a running back is between 4.5 and 5 years now, like before they're done.
Yeah, yeah. So I can understand that. It's a shame because it feels like it's taken away from especially college football. College football, I think if anybody watches it, the fan bases are dude, if you think any of the fan bases in the NFL are like great and crazy, go to college. Those fan bases are diehards left and right, generations and generations of family members have been there. They're crazy. And I mean, again, throwing all this money at these guys, like where these guys are making more than the coaches and stuff like that. It is, and until they can get this NIL thing on freaking wraps, it's just the Wild West. Like, hey, oh, you want to pay me more? Cool, I'll go there. I mean, like they can't even do that in the NFL.
No,
You know
no,
what I'm
no.
saying? Like, and you're giving it to these like kids.
Yeah, with all the influences from outside that are pulling them in different directions. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's a little bit of a shame with that, but hey, I guess make yours if that's what you can do and you can live a life off of it. Good for it. But I think everybody knows with more money comes more problems. So you know, careful what you wish for.
oh yeah, that's for sure. So I have a what if for you. No, no, it's nothing hard or anything. It's like if you had gone through a combine style interview, like what would you have wanted the teams to understand about you as a person beyond your measurables?
Ah, man, I think I would like to think that I'd like them to know that I've always felt like I've been like a captain. Like, hey, I don't need to be the vocal captain. I can be the vocal captain, but hey, if you need somebody that you want to like make an example of, you can do me. Like, I will gladly be that example and push through and just, you know, lead the team in a situation of that way. Like, it wasn't about, never always about me. Like again, especially when with my coaching, it's always about the team. It's always about the players. It's never about me. Like, right? I think you've been alongside me with the coaching. We lose, that's on you and me. The players get the accolades, we get all the crap behind it. And it's never been about me. Like, I didn't want I don't want the spotlight. Like, but you know, if you want me in it, I'll do it and tell me what to do and I'll do it, you know? So I mean, like a captain, kind of like you can, if you want me to lead, I can lead silently, I can lead verbally, whatever. Because yeah, I said my shortcomings were probably the physical aspects of things, probably not going to make it to the NFL running a 4.4 as a safety.
No, no, no. But like that's also why I asked about the mental aspects because I feel like if you get invited to the combine or if you're like a Division 1 player, my my view on it is everybody is so good athletes that that shouldn't be the difference maker. And I feel like that's where a lot of teams sometimes walk into traps by drafting just purely the best athletes and players instead of looking on what's making them tick inside. Like you said, a lot of the players, probably most of them, are driven by money or some kind of greed. Or I think the way I'm trying to explain is like it matters a lot where the motivation comes from because there's a huge difference in a player who just wants to get paid and go on a yacht somewhere
Oh,
as compared to like the guy like you talked about who's like, I want to do this for my family. I want to get my mom set up. I want to buy her a house. I want to do all this. And I also feel like that's where you see the difference in the guys who makes it in the league and be professional for like 5, 10 years, and the ones who flare out after 1 or 2, who's just there for the wrong reasons.
yeah, yeah. I think a great movie that kind of portrays this whole aspect of it is actually Draft Day. Oh, but like, right, Kevin Costner?
Yeah, Kevin Costner, yeah.
And, I think I can't really remember how it goes, but I think he had wrote the guy's name down on a piece of paper before the day was because he knew who the guy was. He liked him as a person. He liked him this way. He knew he was talented, but the other guy was way more talented, but he didn't trust him as a person or anything like that. So like I said, I think it happens a whole lot more these days. Because again, they want to rely on you. They're signing you to a 4 or 5 year deal. They want to see you ride that out. They don't want to see you, you know, God willing, you don't have any injuries. They don't want to see you, you know, done in 1 year. Because they're investing to it. I mean, like I said, it's big business. They're investing in you. What are you going to do to, make that investment worth it? And like you said, if they're in it for the wrong reasons, then chances are they're probably not going to pan out. But if they're there for the right reasons and they want to do it, they pan out, you know?
I agree. And I
And I,
also feel like some of it is about the pressure and the preparation because some of the young guys are just not cut out to handle the pressure from being like an athlete or a student as they were back in the day, not getting paid, to now being like, this is my job full time. This is what I do for a living. And some people, I feel like, can't handle that. You've been around some of the people. You also like sat behind a guy who had a successful NFL career. Do you know anything about like the inner workings about handling the pressure and trying to prepare for that stuff?
mean, like I said, I think the two guys that I knew that went to the league both won Super Bowls. Um, they went into the NFL not, invited to the combines. They showed up, they got invites to like the Senior Bowl, which is another avenue of people getting, seen on a different stage. And then of course they went to open tryouts and they just kind of went, okay, hey, if one of them, if I'm not mistaken, it was he was a New York Jet, and on the last day he gets cut, but then picked up by like Cincy or something like that. Might have
to
been
say.
vice versa.
The Jets never won, so
And
at
then,
least lately. I know they won back in the day, but like forever.
yeah, but I mean, like he ended up doing what he did 1 or 2 years. I believe it since he was like a little bit of a running back there, but then also like did some punt returns stuff like that, and then he won the Super Bowl with the Giants the first time that they beat the Pats, and they had a crazy like tandem running back, or even three of the guys. That was when Jacobs was there, and they all, I think, like all of them rushed for over 1,000 yards, and it was just like, what the hell? Um, so he wins it. The other guy, he got cut last day, then picked up by Indy when Peyton won his first Super Bowl there, and he just played special teams, and he was just like, crap. Like I knew him a lot closer than I knew the other guy, and he's just like, wow. Like just walk into a locker room with Peyton Manning, and that just instantly demands respect. And so he just like, hey, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, whatever. I'm just going to learn and just put my head down, play special teams, and do his thing. And I mean, of course, I think he only played like 2 or 3 years. Bounced around here and there from some what do you call it, practice squad teams and stuff like that. But
still making that is impressive because the needle eye is so small, like from the amount of college players to the amount who make it.
yeah, exactly. And like I said, both these guys came from some harder spots. Like right again, we're in AIA school. We're not NCAA. We're not on a national stage. But they got these opportunities, and I mean, made the best of it. I mean, like I said, I think first one was he played what 11 years. His big years were New York, Tampa Bay, and he finished his last years at as a Texan.
Do you want to give us a name or
That one was Derek Ward.
their Ward?
Derek Ward, yeah, man.
Damn.
He was an interesting character the first few days. And then we got to know him, and he got to know us, and he was such a sweet dude. He was so fun, down to earth. And then the other one was Didi Dorsey.
That one I do not know, but Derek Ward is a pretty big name, to be honest.
Yeah. So, like I said, man, I enjoyed my time with those guys, and getting to see those guys was like, oh, okay, yeah. I don't think I'm gonna make it to the next level. Like Derek Ward was probably one of the single greatest athletes I've ever seen in my entire life. It was like a man playing against boys. Like this dude he had it all. He had the power, he had the speed, he had the burst. He could stop on a dime. You were just like, what in the hell?
A
It's like a
man
video
among
game.
boys.
Yeah, like dude, it was like a video game. You're like, what the crap?
It's like playing Bo Jackson on Temco.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
And for the young listeners, that's an old reference. Go look it up.
Really old.
Really, really old. I have one question left, and it's kind of like you already touched on it during this segment because I wanted to talk about the small school perspective. Because if you're not invited to the combine, then what options do players have from the low divisions, like to get noticed and try and forge your path as a pro anyway?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, again, we were pretty close proximity to Kansas City Chiefs. So we actually had pro days where they came down, and they watched guys. So a whole lot of his luck. Let's just be honest. It's luck. It's luck of the draw. Who sees you when they see you? And again, like a lot of these guys, they're also networks. Like hey, Derek Ward, hey, you guys need to go check this guy out. And they would go, okay, cool. Let's go check this guy out. So there is a lot of that stuff going on. Of course, it's a lot harder. Like you really need to push up into those top spots in the smaller schools. As in like you need to be, maybe an all conference guy, all American in your sense that people go, okay, let's take a look at this guy. Because again, all these colleges, and again, all these NFL teams. You also have the Canadian League. You have the Arena Leagues, or you used to have the Arena League. Don't even know if that's still a thing. They have so many people in their programs and stuff that they can just send people out everywhere, and they are on their phones calling coaches left and right. Hey, do you have anybody we should come look at? Hey, yeah, come down, take a look at this. Or hey, can you send us film? And then they'll start to get invites. Like, hey, we'd like you to come up to the facility, do our own little pro day. So there's a lot of avenues, but like I said, some of those, when you're a smaller school, you really have to put you have to really grind it out and hope you're seen and stuff like that.
So is it almost like you're doing stuff like in the town or the area you are in, then you get noticed, then you go to like a state camp, and then you go like a national camp or stuff like that? Or is that not correct to interpret?
No, like I said, I think it's more of like, hey, so and so's called us. You got a need, buddy? Can you send us film? And of course, all the coaches want their guys to go and do well and everything else. That so yeah, hey, here's some film. You either hear back or you don't hear back. Hey, we'd like to see this guy. Can you send him up here for a tryout? The teams will do tryouts. They'll have a lot of people come out and try out. Now it's not
Gotcha.
an open tryout. This isn't invincible anymore.
No.
So
Good old
they
Marky
do have the
Mark.
tryouts. It's just a lot harder to catch the attention, when you're at a smaller school. I think just for us, we were in very close proximity to the Kansas City Chiefs, where I think, yeah, roughly maybe door to door, an hour and a half, maybe. So
Yeah,
that's
okay.
not really anything for people to travel and go see and do. So, you know, like I said, I wouldn't want that job as a recruiter or anything like that because of how many dudes out there in America are playing football, and you've got to decipher on these things. Like, no,
Yeah.
thank you.
So is it more about, like you said, luck, but also like being corrected to the right coaching tree that like goes from high school, college, NFL, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, right?
Gotcha.
I think the coaching can definitely can traject you in the right way, or they can send you screaming the other way.
There's a mutual respect between the coaches. So if a guy phones you and says, I have this guy you might want to take a look at, 9 out of 10 times they'll take a look. And what happens from there is up to the player, basically.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like it's out of the coach's hand from there. Like, hey, we sent them your name. Best of luck, kind of thing. So
The Skændes fantasy football.
That brings us to the end of the road. I feel like we could do a lot more episodes. Like, I would love to do a college one with some of the guys and you. I think that could be a good episode, talking about the structure and the NIL and stuff like that.
I'm always game, man. I appreciate you having me today.
We can talk for hours about football. So
Oh,
we
for
have to
sure,
cut it
man.
off at some point.
Yeah.
But once again, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. And like we talked about, I hope we can do it again some point. And to our listeners, I hope you still enjoyed it, even though it was in English. And we will, of course, be back with more football talk very, very soon. And until then, remember, there's only 205 days till the NFL kicks off again. Have a good one.